Konnichiwa, and welcome back to International Sprint Series here on RCI Fridays. Round number 4 live from Fuji in Shizuoka, Japan. Hot day, overcast, and racing on tap for Hypercar and LM GT3. 4.5 kilometers around the circuit. Qualifying wrapping up for the Hypercars as we speak. Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Ryan Gill with Jack Mays, providing the pictures for the day. Welcome in, Ryan Gill, and welcome to the shadow of Mount Fuji.
Welcome to what I think is probably one of the best tracks in the world for side-by-side racing. I absolutely love this circuit. Happy to be here on comms again for this fantastic series, Jesse. And whilst we are getting towards the end of qualifying here, it has been anything but quiet this season, and we saw plenty of action out last time at Losail in round 3.
We sure did, and it's going to be a action-packed race here because, like you said, Fuji Speedway is a racetrack known for being able to race side-by-side, following closely, getting huge runs down that massive pitch straight. Then, of course, it's going to be 90 minutes here today. Pit stops and strategy all at play. LMGT3s have already finished qualifying earlier. Hypercars just about to finish up themselves. A little over a minute left to go. And it's Martin Vaselli, who we ride on board here in the twitchy Porsche, who set the current mark to beat. It's a 28.466, half a second clear of Zino Van Driesche, Ryan.
Yeah, Zino Van Driesche just off the tail end at the moment. Martin Vaselli setting the pace. Andre Ursu as well doing quite well. He's just 10,000ths of a second off Van Driesche's pace, and then it's Fabian Schmidberger in the SJ&H car rounding out the top 4 at the moment in qualifying. But we've got under a minute to go, Jesse. There's still a lap left for a few of these runners out here, and it's all far from decided.
It really is. Zino Van Driesche in the pit lane, and they will take no further part. Just about everybody else continuing. Mike Redford and Luke Southall in the pit lane as well. But now Martin Vaselli has returned to the pit lane. They either invalidated their lap or realized that they weren't going to have a chance to improve. But Andre Ursu continues around. Already got some love for Andre Ursu in the chat from their team, and looking to improve. Didn't do it in Sector 1, down to 10th.
Yeah, down to 10th at the moment, but, you know, it's a very small amount of time to make up, actually, if you're going to gain a position. If you think about, you know, usually when you look at your sectors, you're looking at the time to gain, you're thinking in, you know, tenths of a second. It's not that much to gain up. You can lose it a bit in the first sector, you can gain it back in the following sectors, but we'll have to see what Andrea Ursu is able to do. We're watching Fabian Schmidberger here at the moment, who is about 54,000ths up on his fastest lap time at the moment. Won't gain him an extra place, but he will take at least some pride in knowing he could get the most that he could out of qualifying as he comes up to the final corner now. So important to get a nice exit out of here, and we'll see what Fabs can do coming up towards the line.
Not the favorite car is the Cadillac, being completely frank here, but trying to get a little bit more out of it. Was up in Sector 1, was up in Sector 2. It will be up in Sector 3. All that totaling 3/4 of a tenth, and that will end up a 29.329. That will slot them in to 4th place. Just a couple of cars out there left to go. Tom Watts, Richard Withel, Mays is out. No relation to our broadcaster, of course. It's spelled different. And DeGore in 10th place. The only cars still out there. And just as I say that, Ryan, I saluted, quite frankly, when I saw Withel come into the pit lane. But Mass, I've been corrected. That's pronounced Mass. Apologize indeed. But qualifying all done and dusted. Nobody goes quicker, excepting Fabian Schmidberger there, and that just about does it for qualifying here at Fuji Super Speedway. Martin Vaselli on pole, sharing the front row with Zino Van Driesche, Andre Ursu, Fabian Schmidberger in row number 2. It's Mola and Wilkinson next, and then Watts and Withel, and then Lena and Michael DeGore round out your top 10 in Hypercar. Outside of that, Mike Redford took time, and time will only tell if Figueredo and Lindhout are with us today. In the LMGT3 category, looks like Luke Southall took pole position over Rune Azimpamber. A rare difference indeed. Rune will see the start of this race from the outside pole position. Behind them, Joe Dauber with Martin Lawrence. Mark Gibson shares the row with Vulture Rybecki. Jordan Daly, Mike Hoka, Ted Edwards, and Adrian Fraga make up the top 10 in LMGT3. Well, Ryan, we talked a little bit about the championship. We're entering the back half of the championship now. Take us through the standings.
Yeah, so in the hypercar class, it is the SJNH driver of Fabian Schmidberger that leads the way, 73 points over Martin Vaselli in second place with 66 points. Billy Octane missed out on round 3, and he'll also miss out on round 4. He's on 53 points. Sebo Lindhout is in fourth place with 46 points, and Tom Watts, who returns to the grid this evening, is on 44. Richard Whittle on 43 points, Louis Curtin and Thomas Kauberg, who I believe are not here this evening either, both of them on 40 points. Then we have Reese Wilkinson and Andrea Ursu, 36 and 35 points respectively. Meanwhile, in the LMGT3 class, Martin Lawrence had a bit of a poor day in the office last time out, but he sits on 103 points over the BMW duo of Rybecki and Lilith. Lilith not here tonight, so there'll be some points dropped on that regard. Mark Gibson, though, in the Ford in fourth place with 67 points. Mike Vanderhoek with 55, and the other Porsche of Mark Ham on 52 points in sixth place. Red Boss Kevin Boss on 44 points in seventh. He's just a point ahead of Ted Edwards in the other Ford Mustang. Rune Azimpamber, who dominated last time out at Losail, on 40 points. And Daniel Hearn with 30 rounds out the top 10.
Close indeed for a lot of the categories. And of course, just like you said, got a little closer in LMGT3 a week ago. Hypercar, for my money, is wide open. Still nothing decided there as we take the turn for the back half of the season. 6-round championship, round number 4, live from Fuji today. And what a great racetrack. What a great venue. We talk about it, not without its dramas, of course, over the years as well, and earlier this year, in fact, as well. But today, it's going to play host to multi-class racing, hypercar, and LMGT3. And the first thing that I notice here is how long everyone's taking to grid up. Ryan Gill, why might that be?
I mean, first thing that comes to mind, at least from my perspective as a driver and my own experience in racing some of these series, bathroom break. Got to get all of that stuff out of the way before you get yourself into the cockpit. There's no chance of weather variation here tonight. It is going to be an overcast race from start to finish, so there's nobody umming and ahhing about whether they have to be concerned over, switching up the tire strategy in regards to wet or dry tires. But yeah, I think probably just a case of making sure that you get all of the necessities out of the way before we get rolling tonight, Jesse, because it is a 90-minute race. And the last thing you want to do is get 10 minutes into a 90-minute race and the waterworks start going.
It is indeed. Everyone trying to get their ducks in a row here, and just about everybody is on the medium tires. DeGore doing a slightly alternate strategy. He's got a hard front left tire, which generally to us in the booth indicates that they expect extra extra sort of wear on that tire. Fabian Schmidberger's joined the grid with 3 hard tires. Are we playing Tetris? It kind of looks like a what are they called? Tetraminos going on there for Schmidberger, but just the front right is the medium compound tire. Thomas Calvert joins us in chat, wishing everybody good luck, but is not on the grid today. And with that, just about everybody makes it to the grid in time for the start, Ryan, but some of them cut it real close this week.
Yeah, they did cut it a bit close, but the important thing is they are all here. Seeing Fabian Schmidberger on 3 hard tires on that car tells me that he's been concerned about the tire wear and concerned about the temperature of his tires coming in for this race. So that's definitely one to look out for. Maybe he'll struggle towards the early phase of the race and it'll come to him later on. But as we're side by side, Jesse, we've got all the rows of cars to get ready for 90 minutes of racing around one of Japan's finest circuits.
Round 4, a lot on the line here today. Will somebody finally take control of the Hypercar Championship? Will the good fortune return for Martin Lawrence in LMG T3? Only time will tell as we take the long run down the pit straight. Pit stops will be happening later. You'll have to pay attention to the pit wall. But for right now, we are green live from round 4 in Fuji. And it's a clean getaway from the top 2. But it's 3 wide behind them between Schmedberger, Ursu, and Molma as they all fight for position. They jockey in front of them. Does Vaselli and Vandrisha. Looks like Vaselli wins out. And they all scatter behind them. They're 4 wide going off of the racetrack into 1.
This is such a difficult early phase of the race for them with the tyres. They're not quite up to temperature, and that hairpin is really deceiving, Jesse. It has a wide exit, but it comes back at you really, really sharply, and you have to be careful. You saw Fabian Schmidberger taking to the escape on the outside to try and avoid getting caught up with that, but then took a while to get back on, even clipping the grass a bit, and he's lost some positions because of that. It's all calm out front for Vaselli. Ursu is up into second place as well, but Vandrisha and Schmidberger both struggling on the start.
It's already come undone for Mike Redford. Drive-through on the initial start, being out of position or speeding under the pace car speed limit one way or another. It's a drive-through for Mike Redford, and they will have to come down the pit lane sometime soonish. Rune Azenpamber, it is sort of return to form and a return to where we usually find them, up at the front of the field. Southall out-qualified them. Rune immediately retakes the point of this race in LMG T3.
Yeah, and that's good for a good show for us here tonight, because that means that Rune is obviously in the mood to race, taking away that position right on the first lap, as we see Vaselli complete the first lap of the race and take that fastest lap for the moment. Mike Redford, by the way, I think we saw the indication at the start of the race that it was for speeding on the start, so that's a real shame for Mike Redford. He's got to serve that, you know, as soon as possible, or maybe he'll go an extra couple of laps, Jesse, to try and get a bit of a margin on the GT3 drivers and hopefully not have too many of them to overtake once he gets done with that drive-through penalty.
That's a good shout. That's good forward thinking, and I do believe that Mike Redford did not come down pit lane that time, so that's absolutely what Mike's doing, and I think that's a very smart move indeed. Andre Ursu's made their way by Zeno Vandrisha for P2. The 78 Porsche now joins the number 19 Porsche as 2 of them lead us here in Fuji. Drisha, Molma, Watts the top 5 right now. Meanwhile, Degore racing in the back, and close quarters in the chicane. Not my favorite variant of Fuji Speedway, if we're being completely honest. The Grand Prix layout, I like the sprint layout a little bit better. I think it flows better, but then again, I have the same qualms with Barcelona as well. But everybody pretty much cleanly away. Top 5 in LMG T3. Looks like Azenpamber, Southall, Dauber, Lawrence, and Rybecki now.
Might not be your favorite variant of the Fuji Speedway, but the car we were seeing making the overtake is definitely my favorite variant of that Peugeot 9X8. It was the wingless version that we can see Mays running there, so that's very, very nice to see. One of the older spec cars, but a car that I have a lot of love for as well. As we switch back to the GT3 field, and we're on board here with Martin Lawrence. He's got Joe Dauber in front of him, but Rybecki is well close in this battle as well. It doesn't look like it's going to be an easy race for our championship leader tonight.
No, nothing's ever easy in the championship, and you've got to keep your head. Remember, Martin Lawrence kind of saved himself from disaster a week ago. A couple of late incidents and dramas kind of saved Martin, if we're completely honest, and he saved himself by just being consistent, but he's going to need that today. If the Lexus isn't favored here at Fuji, if he doesn't quite have the pace around this circuit, going off right there kind of illustrates the point. You've just got to keep it on the island, and you've got to pick up the pieces where they fall. But right now is kind of closing on Joe Dauber in front, and I quite like the livery that Joe Dauber has. He's certainly adhering to international standards with that car. And I don't know, are you old enough to appreciate sort of what's going on with that car, Ryan?
I take incredible offense to if I'm old enough to know what that is a reference to. I think even some of the younger sportsman fans will know plenty about that livery. We've seen it all across the world and night and day, and now we have Mays making another move here, and it's on one of the Cadillacs. It's going to be Whittle, but I think they're going to be able to get on the inside line and just take it here, or is Whittle going to hang it around the outside? It's going to be tight right up to the edge, but makes it work on the inside. The Peugeot 9X8, 2 positions made up in as many laps, Jesse Lee, and now Fabian Schridberger, who started 4th in 7th, looking like he might be under pressure next.
Punk Rock Peugeot up a spot there, taking on the Stars and Stripes and the Screaming Eagles and getting it done. That Peugeot, that wingless Peugeot, the original iteration of that hypercar, looks really quick, especially down the straight, as you might expect, but looking racy here early on, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely looking racy, and now we're looking at Kevin Boss in another historic livery that you could pin down to a specific manufacturer, and running it on the correct manufacturer of car as well. This evening, we saw that last week as well. He has got the likes of Daniel Hearn for company at this moment in time in the lovely first form Porsche livery. And Kevin at the moment going to be hoping for better than what he saw at Losail. Said it was a bit of a frustrating race, had to get the elbows out. And this is a circuit where, you know, if you're going to make moves, Jesse, you kind of do have to get your elbows out as well, because whilst you can go side by side through a lot of these corners, that generally means it's harder to make a move stick unless you can be decisive.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about racing, isn't it, Ryan? Really, you have to be decisive. You have to make your moves, and you have to do them with purpose. And when you don't do that, you sort of open yourself up to incidents. And this is what I'm talking about: decisive move down to the inside, racing over the 13th place position, Lewis Hamilton with the stern defense. That's Red Boss in the silver McLaren, fending off Daniel Hearn in the Porsche 911 for the time being. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. Had they been a little bit too tentative, Daniel Hearn, that is, that could have been an incident. But because they decided to kind of just show the move, then Kevin Boss knew that, oh, yep, they're going to put it down the inside. You saw the wheel shake right there. And I wonder if maybe that wasn't a message to Daniel Hearn there.
Yeah, we'll have to see from Kevin. I mean, he was a bit unsatisfied with some of the overtaking moves that were done on him last week at Losail, but we're going to replay here of the start. So this is Southall on the left-hand side of your screen, and then you can see Azenpamba in the Aston Martin on the right-hand side of your screen. So this is when the race starts. So you could just see the Aston Martin, Jesse Lee. What an incredible start compared to the Ferrari. Almost like the Ferrari just bogged down. He's ahead of him before they've even got to the braking zone.
Yeah, Rune just absolutely got the best of that start. An excellent start for Rune, and they continue to lead an LMG T3 over Luke Southall. Mike Redford has come down the pit lane and taken their penalty for speeding on the pacing lap. And they're actually just about clear of the LMG T3 field. The only car in front of Mike Redford is the LMG T3 leader. Meanwhile, this fight going on for 23rd place in the mid-pack of the LMG T3 field. For right now, Kevin Boss, he's erected the Great Wall, and he's trying to drive away. Red Boss isn't standing by. He's trying to drive away, but not doing it here. Wide line. Here come the two Porsches again.
Yeah, I think Kevin Boss was just able to get past Mark Ham, and now he's, you know, obviously got Ham between himself and Hearn, and he'll be glad to have Mark Ham between himself and Hearn, because that means it's going to take a bit longer for Hearn to get on the back of him again. But here we go. It's going to be Porsche versus Porsche down towards turn one. This is a corner where you can make a move, but you have to be decisive. You have to be late on the brakes. The inside line is the ideal line to be, and look at the brake disc glow from Hearn's car, but he goes just a bit too deep, and he allows the switchback from Ham to come on through, and now they're going to be side by side again, but you've got to get it sorted out before you get to this corner. Side by side through here is very, very tricky. It can end wrong, but Hearn has made it work, and he has finally got the position through on his fellow manufacturer.
Hearn on Ham, Porsche on Porsche, and a done deal there finally for Daniel Hearn, gaining a position, and now will again turn their sights on Kevin Boss for that position if they can continue to catch back up. These two going at it again. Remember, Andre Ursu took second place away from Zeno Vandrisha earlier. Vandrisha now fighting back here on the back half of the circuit as we come down into the chicane section. On the wrong side of the racetrack, I'd have to say, is Vandrisha. Is there a possibility of a retaliation coming up the inside? No, there isn't, but there's some LMGT3 traffic here.
Yeah, and this part of the track here, the final sector at Fuji, is so difficult for navigating through traffic. Sometimes you just have to sit behind them in corners. It's not like Losail, where you can pretty much go around the outside or inside of almost every single corner one way or another. There are pinch points on this circuit where you just have to accept that you're going to lose time. You're going to have to sit behind someone. And we sort of saw a bit of that there on the exit, where Ursu just had to be a bit more careful. Now they're going to weave their way through the traffic. This is Mark Ham just in front. You can see Daniel Hearn, and then it'll be Kevin Boss further up ahead. But they've got to get this sorted out and pass them before they get to the breaking point of turn one. This is not a corner that you want to get caught up in traffic on, and especially true for turn three coming up now. And Ursu having to switch on the other side of Kevin Boss not to get caught up there. A very perilous situation for Ursu, but he's managed to navigate it safely.
Oh man, scary moments there for the hypercars coming through the LMGT3s for the very first time here. And keep in mind, they're fighting over second position, so they're absolutely going at it. Saw Zeno take a look down into turn number one, thought better of it, and went back into line there. And I think that was very smart discretion, being the better part of valor, living to fight another day. Zeno knows it's a 90-minute race, and they got some time, especially when this happens now. Stranded on the outside is Andre Ursu around the chicane. That's going to do nothing but help Zeno, who has the easier line around the Porsche GT3 car. And now running off of the racetrack slightly there is Ursu, and that will further sort of instigate this battle, allow Zeno to stay just a little bit closer, and that's really important as they come up to the final turn here and the pit straight. Extra toe, extra draft now, because Andre Ursu was held up ever so slightly.
And you just saw the look down the straight there. You saw how many GT3 cars they still have to navigate through. Vasily, the leader, has been making his way through. One of the benefits of being the leader is that you're the first one to catch the traffic. You might think that might not be too valuable, but look at the defense from Ursu, going all the way over onto one side of the track to defend, and it has worked out for him. Now going past, I think that's Martin Lawrence that they're having to go through. Is it Jordan Daly? It's one of the two. And now a Porsche having to get out of the way as well. Lifting wants no part of this fight, Jesse. And I can sympathize with both elements of both classes here. I've been in both situations. You're the faster car, you're battling with someone, you don't want to be slowed down, but you also don't want to get caught up with it in the other class. You just want them to get on with it, get past you, and go up the road.
Yeah, I've always had to tell myself, calm myself down in that moment when I didn't have that voice over the radio to tell me otherwise. But you have to learn to do that yourself whenever you're not racing as part of a team. And part of that is just say, okay, traffic is going to give it, traffic is going to take it away, and you can avoid incidents like that. Contact with the Porsche and Martin Lawrence and Joe Dahlberg. It's going to be more contact there, and Zeno Vandrisha is not going to be able to go through. I thought for sure Andre Ursu had been turned, but he hasn't. He wasn't, and he's still on the racetrack, and he's still in the lead in front of Zeno.
Andre Ursu is not going to be making any friends in the GT3 class here today, but he's not going to care one bit. He is still in second place. He is still ahead of Zeno Vandrisha, and that's what he's going to be caring about at the moment. He can sort out the apologies and the my bads in the Discord later. Right now, all that matters is keeping that BMW behind, but Zeno is hounding him here. We saw a couple of mistakes out from Zeno's teammate, Milan van der Weyken, who's not here tonight, last week, and that's one of the things that Zeno has to be so careful of. Doesn't want to throw away all this hard work with a mistake. We saw that from Milan. He was hounding his teammate for a good 20-25 minutes, but then threw it all away. Zeno's got the majority of this race left to go. He can still take this place later on, and he doesn't need to take the risks that Ursu is taking right now to keep this position.
Ursu is taking all the risk, but Zeno here is getting a little bit. I mean, I don't know what to call it, but he's getting a little impatient here as he's going to go up the inside. A little bit of a lock, a corner ago, and going wide now is Andre Ursu, surrendering the position to Zeno Vandrisha. The tires on the 78 Porsche going away, and the BMW is through.
And see, this is one of the problems that you have when you're constantly pushing like this. You're almost bullying your way through traffic, if you like. You know, you're putting yourself under so much stress, under so much pressure that it's so easy to make a mistake like that. We saw the lockup on the corner earlier, and then obviously just went, you know, straight on down at the chicane. He's not going to be too concerned about it. He's going to regroup his thoughts and then try and push again. But Zeno was so quick, and I think, is that a GT3 car off in the background? It is. It's Mark Gibson in the Ford. Now, was he assisted, or did he lose it on the exit all on his own? We've seen plenty of that before here at Fuji, but we're going to have a little bit of a look. There's a Toyota further back there in the hypercar class, but I don't think that car is going to be close enough for this. Nope, he's just lost the back end.
Yeah, I've done that on that corner a couple of different times. It's hard to explain, but if you take that corner from a sharp angle like that, sometimes the elevation change, you sort of unload the tires and they start to slip. And I think that's exactly what happened to the Dutch driver, Mark Gibson, and leading to a spin. And is that Joe Dauber? Is that Martin Lawrence? It's Martin Lawrence has gone around.
Oh, and for Martin Lawrence, what wasn't a great race that turned into a good recovery at Losail has started well here in 4th place, and now he has dropped down the order. Now, is this going to be where some multi-class accident happens? No, he's actually caught the curb and he's just lost the car on his own. Maybe he's looking in his mirrors, Jesse. Was he a bit worried about the Toyota diving up the inside, gets the entry of the corner wrong? And that's unfortunate for our championship leader in GT3.
Well, we saw earlier, Ryan, didn't we, that they went wide in that very same corner, and now they got a little twitchy on them and they went around. Another nightmare situation going on for Martin Lawrence. He had to battle back last week in Qatar. He's going to have to do it here in Japan this week all over again. Some nightmares, well, they repeat.
Yeah, and as if it couldn't get any worse for Martin Lawrence, he's got one of his foes from the Monday Championship in the GTE Masters, Randy Daytona, who's joined us mid-season, is behind Martin Lawrence now. So sometimes when it rains, it pours, Jesse Lee. But going back to Kevin Boss and Daniel Hearn, these two haven't been split up by much. Hearn managed to get past the likes of Mark Hammond, has now closed back up onto Kevin Boss. Kevin Boss probably hoping that it would have taken a bit longer, but nonetheless, he's going to have to make that McLaren nice and wide again like he had before.
Yeah, old battles become new once again. Remember, several laps ago, these two were in this exact sort of configuration, and now they're back at it again as Michael DeGore has gone off in the Toyota, and I have a feeling they are missing a tire on the left side of that car, whether or not the entire assembly is gone. Certainly the tire at minimum is gone. Let's take a look and see what led to that accident.
Yeah, might be missing a wheel on that car. Definitely missing a rear wing, and we'll see exactly how it happens. I have had that happen before. That particular corner, not just in a hypercar, but in an LMP2 as well. And yep, that wheel is gone, Jesse, on the front left, and there is no way that DeGore is getting that back to the pit lane under its own steam.
Oh, man. Alternate angle in cockpit from Michael DeGore. Just a humongous snap there in the carousel and a very swift ride to a very unforgiving wall. Left front assembly completely gone from that car. But look at this. They are going to try and limp this car all the way back around. There are a lot of runoff areas, just as DeGore rejoins the racetrack here, but there are a lot of areas where you can get out of the way here at Fuji Speedway. So they are going to get that car back, but that is going to be minutes and minutes worth of repair, but it's better than a retirement.
It is, but that third sector that they're going to have to navigate, they can probably cut the chicane and not get away without some track limit points, considering how slow that they're going. But that snaking sequence at the end is going to be so troublesome for them to do with 3 wheels on the car, and well, avoiding all the traffic as well that's coming at racing pace. Meanwhile, looking back here at the Ford of Gibson, who we saw spin out at the final corner. And they've got Adrian Fraga for company at the moment. Just wondering with Mark Gibson, maybe they've flat spotted the tyres a bit with that spin. It's so strange, isn't it, Jesse, with the tyres. Sometimes you can have really slow spins that you don't think much of that can give you some quite awful flat spots. And then you can have some quite severe, spins going off and onto the grass, onto the AstroTurf. And, well, it doesn't really seem to affect the tyres too much in terms of flat spots. Physics is a strange thing.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting as Mike Redford goes off of the racetrack but rejoins. It is kind of weird, especially in LMU, the way the tires flat spot, you never get rid of it. The flat spot doesn't ever come out of the tire. You pick up these wicked vibrations. You can tell how bad you flat spotted the tires by how much vibration comes back through the wheels. So you know exactly what you've done, and the worst part isn't knowing, it's knowing that it doesn't ever go away until you change the tires. Wiggle there by Mike Redford. I'm an expert at decoding what flashing of the lights means. I'm a fluent translator. I don't quite have the same ability to translate wiggles of that nature. I think maybe that was a friendly greeting.
I think a wiggle to Kevin Boss. Mike Redford and Kevin Boss know each other quite well. Both of them driving for sometimes for Vulcan Racing. So I think maybe just a bit of inter-team communication there. They might not be in the same voice chat, so you've got to communicate one way or another. I mean, Billy Octane and I usually flash the people that we know. Although Billy Octane does tend to flash just everyone in general, so
he's known for that.
Not so much. Yeah, he is. He enjoys it. But looking back here, this is Jordan Daly, who had a very difficult race at the sale, didn't end up finishing the race, but he's looking good here at the moment, Jesse Lee. 6th in class right now, and putting Hook under some pressure.
Yeah, certainly getting as close as you like to Mike Hoka and Jordan Daly, trying their best to unsettle the Porsche in front of them, but nothing doing for Hoka as they continue along unfazed by the Lexus behind him, but still hunting 15th place overall and a spot inside the top 5 in LMGT3. Checking our chat, reading chat as we always do. Some nice comments from us here, or for us here in the broadcast booth. Thank you very much. Also a fan of Andre Ursu as well, I noticed, and looks like Ash Bibby has joined us in the chat as well. A lot of Andre Ursu fans in chat this evening. Andre, if you watch this back on repeat, the entire fan club has turned up tonight. We love to see where your allegiances lie in the chat. Lead group, including Andre Ursu, pictured there in the green Porsche, making their way through LMGT3 traffic for the second time. Ursu's not giving up, Ryan, have they, on Zeno Van Drisha? I would expect that car to have fallen off after they got past. Zeno did it decisively, but no, not the case. Ursu's still there.
You might have seen a flash from Kevin Boss as we jumped on board looking backwards from Zeno Van Drisha's car. Given what I know about Kevin Boss, I can tell you that flash wasn't a compliment to Andre Ursu. I think he was not happy with the way that the Porsche went up the inside at turn 1, but nevertheless, the two cars have come out of it both safe and sound. And here is Martin Lawrence, who has Ted Edwards for company, and I think he has just got past the Ford. And we'll have a little bit of a look of a replay here, so you can see Martin Lawrence in the Lexus behind, and surely not around the outside of this corner. No, he is going to wait and then have another go. Is he going to switch to the inside here for the tight hairpin? He is going to switch to the inside, going over the curb. Almost a bit of contact there, but Ted Edwards leaves the door open enough just so that the Lexus can squeeze through.
Close racing there between the two of them. No other drama there, as Martin Lawrence continues to march back up. The championship leader in LMGT3 is the Czech driver, Martin Lawrence, and for the second week in a row is having some struggles. Seemed dominant in the opening few rounds, but now it looks like it's gone Rune Asenpamber's way as far as race dominance is concerned. They are Daly just in front of Martin Lawrence, but here is Mark Gibson and Randy Daytona. Randy Daytona back in the McLaren, and you told us prior to going live tonight, Ryan, that Daytona wasn't quite happy or excited about the car, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, well, Randy Daytona's been driving in the GTE series, and of course the GTE cars are quite a bit different to the LMGT3s, and probably chosen one of the more difficult LMGT3s to drive here in the McLaren 720S, and there's been problems, and that's Andrea Ursu that is off, and Jordan Daly is involved, and I'm just wondering, Jesse Lee, might be assuming here, but I'm willing to bet that those two have got into a scrap, and I wonder if this is Andrea Ursu who's going harsh again with navigating through traffic. I wonder if this time, Jesse, he's bitten off one too many that he could chew.
Let's go back to the replay and see how this goes down. Hypercar at LMGT3, a little bit of a check there from Zeno Van Drisha, and here comes Ursu going the long way. Oh, and it's a wiggle. It's a wiggle from Daly on the curb, was trying to stay out of the way. The curb spits him back into the path of Andre Ursu, and they both go off spinning, and just a horrible set of circumstances in the tightest part of the racetrack.
I'll hold my hands up. I thought it might have been Ursu that initiated that contact, but it wasn't. It was just Jordan Daly. Just had a little bit of a squiggle coming out of the corner, and that lost control of the car, went into the side of Ursu, complete passenger at that point. So a big shame for Andre Ursu. Lost a couple of seconds from that, and actually has lost third place as well. Lena Mass has managed to get through in the Peugeot 9X8 up into third place as well, so that's quite good for them. Ursu will probably come back at them, as we can see. I believe that's Tom Watts just locking up to go through on the GT3 class. And this is where you're going to be so careful, Jesse. You keep getting lockups like that, you will ruin the tires. And like I said, it can take a while to get rid of those flat spots.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those. I can tell you both Ursu and Daly are going to be feeling that until their pit stops. Of course, everybody has at least one pit stop that they have to do this evening. Nobody can make the distance, so still a lot of things to be decided here, including the strategy of the race. We saw a little bit of that strategy unfold already. Several different tire choices out there, and if you're uninitiated into WEC racing, maybe you don't know that you can take mismatched tires. You don't have to take all mediums or all hards, or you don't even have to take half and half. You can choose per corner what tire you want. We documented earlier, it looks like Fabian Schmedberger is running 3 hard tires in 1 medium tire on the race car. We'll see just exactly what that does. Here is the tire graphic. In fact, it looks like they're the only ones now on a mixed strategy. Sometimes the graphic does glitch, but we do believe Schmedberger is on 3 hards. That's the red, and the front right is a medium tire. Ryan Gill, analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I said before the race, I think it would have been Fabs concerned with tire wear. Definitely something to do with overheating. Might be a particular trait of the Cadillac, might be a particular trait for his style of driving. You can often see differences in that. Sometimes you get differences in what tire compounds that teammates will take when they're sharing the car. So from Fabs, it's definitely a concern over tire wear or tire heat in some regard across a lot of different areas of the car. We did actually see Michael de Gore had a hard on the front left of his Toyota, but didn't manage to make it to the end of the race. Ironically, that's actually the tire they lost in that incident when they hit the wall, and they haven't made it back to pit lane. They have DNF'd the car, unfortunately, Jesse Lee. So 11 laps in was as far as de Gore got. But, you know, you are right. Fabs is the only one on this strategy left at the moment. We'll have to see how it works out for him. Typically, you will lose something in terms of pace, or at least, you know, something in terms of grip if it doesn't turn out to be the optimal strategy, but we'll have to see. Fab's in 5th at the moment, almost back up to his starting spot, and only 2 seconds off the wounded Andrea Ursu at the moment.
Turn down the inside off of the final turn. Look to have the position, but fighting back and a little bit of hip and shoulder check. Kevin Boss is able to regain that position and starts to drive away. The McLaren having a little bit more legs down the pit straight here at Fuji, but on the brakes, the Porsche comes back around the outside of turn number 1 as Hearn looking to make the move into the first turn and down into the second. Fighting back is Kevin Boss. Red Boss is getting it done again down into Coca-Cola turn, still side by side. Later on the brakes down the inside, he sticks it in there. Space afforded him. Hearn's still there, thinks better of it in 100R and gets right back behind him, but he's in the slingshot. He's in the right position as we head up to the hairpin.
Daniel Hearn managed to get past on that sharp corner when he was fighting against Mark Ham, but not able to do it quite on Kevin Boss. But he has the inside line coming through, and now we're going to be coming up to the really tight chicane in the 3rd sector. Is Kevin Boss going to be able to hang this around the outside? He's going to have to go deep if he's going to do it, but no, Daniel Hearn has got the position now. Kevin Boss has to go defensive, has to make the McLaren wide, and does so. Loses the position, Jesse Lee. Hearn has finally made it past the silver McLaren, but now he's got to keep it.
That started 25 minutes ago, and they've both been in their own battles prior to that. And they just about settled it right now. And don't look in the mirror, because here comes the other Porsche again. Like I said earlier, old battles become new battles, become old battles again. And Ham is back in the picture as Hearn trying to set sail. Remember, the last time the McLaren was quicker down the straight, but we will see. Martin Lawrence back inside the top 5 after their earlier spin and drama, as they continue to march back to the front. Again, almost deja vu, different country, same recovery drive from Martin Lawrence's Lexus.
Oh, but the recovery drive. Well, Jesse Lee, I think that is a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. You were warning me about them before we started the broadcast. But unfortunately for Martin Lawrence, such a shame. The Porsche just a bit too deep on the brakes, clips the back end of the Lexus, and around he goes. And knowing Martin Lawrence as well as I do, I know he will not be happy about that. And, well, I guess sort of to compound misery on misery, Mike Redford has informed us as well in the chat that it's his first disconnect on LMU so far. So that is really, really unfortunate for him, and an awful week for him in RCI, so implying that Monday didn't go much better.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for Mike Redford there. Issues here today, and, well, it started off bad, it got worse, and ended up in a disconnect. Condolences to the Mike Racing driver. Hopefully, better luck in 1 week's time. Ash Bibby in chat is asking for a Ryan Gill ooh-woo. I don't know if you're going to get that out of Ryan Gill.
I think we've been over this one, haven't we, a few times?
Yeah, Ryan Gill has a price, rather interestingly enough. Whether or not he wants to share the exact price is up to him. Vaselli continues to lead the race, 8.8, call it 9 seconds over Zino Van Driesche. And Mez in 3rd place, Ursu in 4th after the spin earlier with Jordan Daly. Fabian Schmedberger makes up your top 5. In Hypercar, LMGT3, Azam Pamber, Dauber, Southall, Rybecki, and Hoka are the top 5 now after Martin Lawrence's most recent spin, though most recent one looked to be a little bit assisted. Said earlier in the broadcast that today could be the day that makes or breaks your championship, and for some, I have a feeling it might be coming true. Luke Southall was running up in 2nd place in LMGT3. We'll see, is this more interclass contact? Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's Whittle on the outside line, going around that corner, and that's such a dangerous corner to try and overtake on, especially on the outside line, because for the GT3s, it's so important to have a wide entry to that corner to set yourself up for the little snaking section, and unfortunately just a bit of miscommunication there between Southall and Whittle. That's the kind of mistake that you make once and then ideally you never make again, because you know what a GT3 is going to do next time around on that corner. So hopefully a lesson learned in that regard. But here we have Hook, who we saw getting tangled up with Martin Lawrence not too long ago. Well, now he's got Ted Woods for company.
Yep, very interesting situations. You find yourself racing people that you weren't previously, or maybe you haven't really raced all season long. You get into issues early in a race like this. Still 55 minutes left to go. A 90-minute race, pit stops left to do. Shout out to Ash Bibby, who's gifted 1 sub to the channel over on YouTube. Mike Redford gets it, so hey, maybe the day not so bad. He's 1 free subscription up, is Mike Redford, for all his troubles today. Ash Bibby asking if that's the price of a Ryan Gill ooh-woo. Ryan, thoughts?
I prefer not to speak.
Well, Ryan Gill prefers not to speak, but you know what, Ash Bibby? Thank you very much for giving Mike Redford a gift sub here on the RCI YouTube channel. You know what? I'll give you an ooh-woo for you. I hope that sort of satiates.
I think you gave him more than 1 when you were expressing what the price would be for me to say it.
But that was the real one. You know what I mean? Also, that is true. Jack, our broadcaster's piped up in chat and said that he would. I did hear him do it. That is confirmed. He did do that. He did do it. Ryan Gill, though, a little bit pricier than Jack and me is what I'm learning here tonight on RCI Fridays. Here we go. Look at the virtual energy.
Professionals have standards, and we'll leave it at that.
Professional or no, I'm cheap, as it turns out. Looking at the energy in the cars, looks like Mays has a little bit more than just about anyone else. Tom Watts and Reese Wilkinson and Richard Whittle all in the middle of the pack, doing the very same on the virtual energy. LMGT3, it's pretty much uniform across all of the cars, so no real difference there. We have seen it matter in LMGT3 before, but today everyone looking even. The big discrepancies seem to be in hypercar here today. Yeah,
definitely. Lena Mass, who has made up the most positions at the moment in the hypercar class, 3 from where they started, running well at the moment with the most energy, and actually wondering what obviously the BOP performance and the energy consumption of all of these cars changes with every update, but I do wonder how the older spec Peugeot compares to perhaps its newer spec brother, or even some of the other cars. Maybe it's a bit more lenient on its energy, being an older car, being a car that's not expected to be as fast as the rest of them, as we can see Fraga and Daytona going toe-to-toe here in the final sector. Fraga has made their way through. If I know anything about Randy Daytona, Jesse Lee, he's not going to let that one go easily.
No, he's going to race, and that's the thing about Randy Daytona. They are a racer through and through, and that's what they're going to do. And Fraga might or might not know that. And look at this, Daytona down the inside here at Fuji, and they may get clear on the exit of the corner, and they do. Randy Daytona up inside the top 10 with an advantageous move on the final turn.
Yeah, I did say that he wouldn't leave that one easily, and he hasn't. He's got back past Adrian Fraga, so the hard work that Fraga did just about a sector ago, he's going to have to do all over again. Down towards turn 1, he's going to have a look on the inside line. He's going to be late on the brakes. He is going to have a look on the inside. Just a little bit of a touch with the McLaren. That might have been enough to unsettle Randy Daytona, and now he's going to be on the inside line, but he has backed out of it. He's not going to go side by side through turn 3, Jesse Lee, and probably one for the stewards to discuss later. But do you think the contact between Fraga and Daytona maybe helped Fraga out in that overtake?
Yeah, probably just a little bit. If I'm Daytona, I'm probably not exactly happy about all of that, but Daytona will regroup. And if I was in Randy's ear right now, I'd say, well, you passed him once, you can do it again, and certainly could be the case. Here's Jordan Daly fighting out just in front of all of that. Daly in front of Fraga, leads Daytona, all for 9th place now, as the battle for 10th has evolved into a 3-man fight for 9th.
Yeah, and Daly still recovering from that little twitch that sent them into Andre Ursu. Obviously, unfortunate incident for all parties involved there, and that has meant that they have the very quick Fraga and Daytona up behind them, obviously closing the gap here. And this is sort of a difficult situation for Fraga now because has managed to get past Daytona, but knows Daytona is quick enough to get back up and ahead of them, but now finds themselves with a bit of a roadblock in front of them in Jordan Daly, who's not going to be keen to let Fraga past either.
No, certainly not. Daly will be the driver that erects the giant wall of Daly, and they will not let through. And this is going to be a scary moment. Car coming through the Genesis, having a little bit of a clout there on the Porsche, and that has allowed Randy Daytona to get side by side, still up the inside again. As they continue to race, more contact between Fraga and Daytona. Daytona staying to the inside of 100R. The preferred position going the long way around, though, is Fraga holding the car there. Will there be more contact on the exit? Not quite, not yet. They hold it side by side. Fraga wins out. Back to the bumper is Daytona. Daytona looking down the inside. Has the overlap? No. Single file again as they head to the chicane. Close quarters racing. Could have been a moment with the hypercar Genesis for Fraga, but somehow holds strong. And all of this releases the 9th place Daly. But here comes Daytona again. It comes to blows into the chicane. Fraga and Daytona trading fender blows as they navigate the chicane and end up on the other side of it, up through 13th nets and into Panasonic turn number 16. It's getting ugly out here for 10th.
That little bit of an overtake with contact we saw the other lap between Adrian Fraga and Randy Daytona. That would have been the gloves off moment for Randy Daytona if the gloves were ever on in the first place. Obviously taking advantage of the hypercar coming through to unsettle Fraga, but Daytona deciding, well, if you want to do some overtake with contact, we'll do some overtake with contact. Didn't manage to get the overtake done. But Randy Daytona clearly not going to sit down here, Jesse Lee. Clearly going to get the elbows out as well if he needs to. Has lost a bit of traction on Fraga, and Jordan Daly has gone into the pit lane. So I think that might be an early pit stop strategy move from Jordan Daly to take a full tank to the end now.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Of course, they had the earlier issue, right, that knocked him out of a potential top 5 spot here, and maybe was a little bit in danger of this group, and these two are sort of taking it out of each other. So maybe a smart move just to come in a little bit early. If you know you can make it from here, just get yourself out of that situation, and very smart indeed. Behind all of that is the Kevin Boss, Mark Ham fight, and Hearn has driven away from these two, but Ham and Boss continuing to race each other for what would appear to be 12th place in LMGT3. Kim Boss has had to put on a little bit of a defensive masterclass here today, driving very defensively indeed. It's worked so far, and as long as they can park the bus here, it might work here, and they do. Another defensive drive into the chicane for the Dutch driver, Kevin Boss.
I think what will be frustrating for Kevin Boss, though, is that this is a similar situation to LaSalle last week, where you're spending more of the race defending than you are catching someone else and making moves to overtake. It feels like backwards progression, like you're just delaying the inevitable. Meanwhile, further forwards, Ted Edwards and Hook are side by side, and Martin Lawrence has rejoined the party. Remember, there was an incident between the Lexus and the Porsche.
You don't think they remember that, do you?
Oh, Martin Lawrence will remember, all right, and he's not going to be gentle with his overtake through the corner. He's going to go side by side. And now we're coming up to the corner in particular where the incident was. Martin's surely not going to go around the outside of Ted Edwards as well, is he? No, just about going to keep it, but he's going to look at the inside. Is he going to make it 2 for 1? He will!
How on earth has he done that? The Czech driver, Martin Lawrence, the championship leader, taking 2 for 1. That's a BOGO. That stands for a buy one, get one free. And that's exactly what he did. Lawrence had a coupon, and he used it at the register here. A little bit of maybe a bump draft there from the Ford Mustang. Assistance, international assistance from Ted Edwards, as now Ted Edwards is stranded side by side with Hook for the 6th place position. This day could have been worse for Martin Lawrence, if we're honest. Second week on the trot, I keep saying that, where they've had issues, but the second week in a row that they've rebounded to a top 5 position, but that was absolutely dramatic.
Yeah, and remember, Jesse Lee, there's still about 45 minutes of the race to go here
gosh.
for Martin Lawrence. He has plenty of time left to, make up on the time that he lost. 9.5 seconds between himself and Rybecki. He'll be backing himself to close that gap. We're going to get a replay here. This is on board with Martin Lawrence, and this is spectacular, Jesse. Getting side by side with the Porsche here, but then having the confidence, having the speed, and he's denying Ted Edwards the ability to take a wider exit here. This sets him up beautifully on the inside line, dive down the inside, and makes it nice and easy for himself. And then it's just a case of Ted Edwards in the biggest car in the GT3 field, making himself, difficult to overtake for the Porsche, and he does exactly that. A bit of bump drafting, as you did say, but nothing too foul there. And Ted Edwards remains ahead for the moment.
That was crazy. That all was set up on the straightaway prior to that. It kicks off in Coca-Cola Curve 100R is where the pass really starts, and then the hairpin was where it was completed. That whole sequence started 4 or 5 turns before the pass was ever made, and that is certainly how you do it when you're a professional. And everything to lose has Martin Lawrence, but knows that they've got to go for it. They've got to make up positions, and they've got to sort of protect as many points as they possibly can. But also, too, I think Ted Edwards kind of helping out Martin there just a little bit as well. I love to see it. The games we play, the games inside of games on top of strategy and all of that. That's why motor racing is brilliant. Still awaiting pit stops for most of the lead runners, almost all of them. In fact, it's just about nobody has come down the pit lane other than Jordan Daly. We'll see if that helps them doing the undercut a little later on. Remember, Daly was running just about inside the top 10, 9th place, I believe they were at the time. Fabian Schmidberger, however, is catching Andre Ursu for P4.
Yeah, and I've been looking at Fabian's lap times, actually. His fastest lap is a 1:29.7. Now, compared to Vasselli, who's done a 1:29.2, he's about half a second down. But that's actually not too bad, considering the compound difference that he's got. Mike Redford, by the way, rejoining the race, as you can see, after his disconnect. So that's good to see if he can try and get to the end and bag himself some points. But yes, Fabian Schmidberger... Okay, Andrea Ursu has had his collection of problems. We saw that earlier today. But Fabs has been able to reel in what was almost a 4-second gap at one point. Now it's down just to about a second, Jesse Lee. Perhaps, if Fabs can make something work on strategy here, he might be able to jump ahead of Ursu. And are those tyres perhaps coming into their own now? Will he not have to take tyres at his designated pit stop? Maybe save himself 12 seconds as well.
Could be. We'll see exactly how it all shakes out. Cormac Malloy, Ash Bibby in chat asking for a specific set of numbers. No, I will not give you a 6-7. I won't do it. I just refuse to be a part of that. 19% left in the virtual energy stores for the front 2 running cars, Vasselli and Bandrisha. Mays in 3rd in the Peugeot has quite a bit more than that, an extra lap or 2, I would say. Certainly, Molma in 6th place, Tom Watson, Wilkinson in 7th and 8th, respectively, and Whittle as well in 9th. All have considerably more, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 laps more. Will that come in handy? Certainly, if they pit later, they would have to take less virtual energy or less fuel in the car, resulting in less virtual energy. So that might help them in their battles as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But for right now, everyone's settling in just a little bit. You always want to do that, don't you, Ryan? You want to settle into a groove in a race, but I just don't think just about anyone has had the opportunity to do that. Case in point here, Lewis Hamilton, Kevin Boss in 19th place here, up into the top 10 under constant fire. He's been under fire from Fraga, from Hearn, from Ham, from everybody. He's not had a moment of peace here.
No, this is definitely a track where you want to get into a rhythm and you want to get comfortable. Was fortunately one of the things I was able to do here in the LMP2 Sprint Series after qualifying on pole position. Managed to keep the lead after turn one and then, disappear up the distance. And that's exactly what Martin Vaselli has done in this race as well. And it's such a big confidence booster if you can keep yourself out of trouble, if you can keep yourself in a rhythm where you don't have to be battling with
Oh
someone, where
my
you don't have to be
God.
dodging traffic. And I think that was Malema going through. And Kevin Boss, well, he wasn't happy with Andre Ursu earlier on today. He's going to be even less happy with the Genesis driver for that particular move. And I have to admit, Jesse, there's been a few touch and go moves from the hypercars out here today. But I think that one is one that I would not be too surprised if it attracts the attention of the stewards post-race. And, well, unfortunately for the 35 McLaren, the track limit warnings have caught up with them, and they will be needing another trip down pit lane.
Track limits this early, just about at the halfway point of the race. Carreras in the pit lane in the next 3 or so laps, not for a pit stop, but to serve the drive-through penalty. And the question always becomes at this point, once we've seen one driver get a penalty, how close are some of the other drivers in the field? We've certainly seen some off tracks. You mentioned the contact hypercar versus LMGT3 seems a little bit higher than usual out there today as well. And you wonder how many more are going to fall to that. Certainly we've seen in the past too in this series, Ryan, several cars losing position out on racetrack, not because they don't have the pace, but because they were so close to getting a drive-through penalty, they were forced to back it down a little bit and play a little safer. And ultimately that's what lost them positions. But here we go again. Ham looking to the outside, trying to do the overcut, the diamond maneuver in the corner, unable to do that. Ham falls back in line, unable to shake Kevin Boss. Man, he's in a champion's livery and he's driving like one today because he has to, under constant scrutiny from the cars behind and constant fire from hypercars, it seems.
Kevin Boss getting dive bombs from his own class and other classes today, unfortunately. But just on the track limit note, Jesse Lee, I mean, this is a track that fortunately it's a lot harder to pick up track limit points around here than it is at Losail, for example, where there's so many corners you can just go wide and easily get one. Here, it's kind of the exit of the chicane. The tight chicane is probably the biggest point where you're going to pick up track limit points. But the other place where you can pick them up, and we saw this a lot at Losail, is on the pit entry. We saw towards the end of qualifying yesterday, I'm not sure if you remember, but it was the Freedom Mobile of Wilkinson that had gone across the white line as you were saluting, and they'd cut the pit entry.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that you need to watch out for, because if you're sitting at the moment on, let's say, 1.5 points of track limit points, if you get 3, you get a drive-through penalty. That kind of cutting over of a line, if you don't lose a significant amount of time before you enter the pit lane, Jesse Lee, that can easily give you 2 points, and that's going to be a drive-through penalty if your points are just above that threshold.
Certainly is the case. Several cars in the LMGT3 field have been down the pit lane. Vulture Rybecki up to P2, 21 seconds off Rune Azenpamber, who's in complete control of the race and in cruise control. You could say the same about Vaselli in the lead overall in the hypercar class as well. 11 seconds to the good over Zino Vandrisha. No problems there. Mies rounding out the top 3. Can I just say, not only is it a Peugeot in the top 3, which is rare in and of itself, but a wingless Peugeot, of all things, even more impressive from Mies in 3rd place. We love an underdog story here at RCI, and certainly the wingless Peugeot fits that bill today.
My favorite hypercar, the wingless Peugeot. Absolutely love that car. It's one of probably the uniqueness of this car when it was first introduced, is that the idea that you could bring a hypercar to a series like this and not put a rear wing on it. Obviously, they have gone back on that decision now of a couple of regulation changes and upgrade packages that have sort of change the design philosophy that they've gone with the car. But overall, it was an impressive feat to be able to create a car that could challenge, in the WEC series by going a completely different way. I'd love to see another manufacturer do that in the future. But you could also see the lovely livery on this car as well, the Wild Things Racing team, which is, as you can see there, livery designed by Denise Pope, who is also one of the, I think, one of the graphical artists for Le Mans Ultimate as well. So getting some, time here on the broadcast. A team that we've also seen in the 6-hour esports series over on the ACC side of things previously as well. So very nice to see the cross-pollination across the different series. But you can see them going past our GT3 leader there, Anzem Pamba, who's had a very quiet day out front. Very similar story to LaSalle.
Yeah, took the lead. Didn't qualify on pole, remember, but didn't matter. Started on the front row, took the lead immediately, had an excellent start, did Rune Anzem Pamba, and really hasn't looked back from that. The Denise Pope connection goes a little bit further. I'm pretty sure Denise and their teams raced back in the RCI Diamond Drive days. I'm quite sure as well. So it's cool to see the merging of worlds and in a different sim and an excellent livery. And I hope Denise doesn't disapprove of me calling it the punk rock Peugeot, because that's what it looks like to me. I love that car. I just love seeing a Peugeot in the top 3. It's hot pink, which is also a huge dub. It's the perfect scenario. Lena Meese in 3rd place. Rune slowing down, coming to the pit lane, and that looked incredibly, I won't call it slow, I'm going to call that cautious. And when you're playing with the lead of the race, and maybe it's an unfamiliar pit lane to you, it snakes in there, you're not quite sure where the line is, and you have a lead to give up, I don't hate that decision. Minimize mistakes, give up time, sure, but don't get a penalty. Certainly easy into the pit lane, cautious and smart. But for right now, promotes Vulture Rybecki into the pit lane. Martin Lawrence follows Anzem Pamba into the pit lane, as Molma has come in as well in the Genesis in the hypercar class.
Yeah, Rybecki has managed to extend in the GT3 class. They've managed to go longer than anyone else, and they will take the lead of the race effectively for about a lap. But they will be coming in this lap, I would reckon. We've also seen Kevin Boss, I think, who is going to go an extra lap as well. So just 2 cars able to stretch it out just one more lap, Jesse Lee. Anzem Pamba is back rolling again. They are out of the pit lane and on their way, so nicely done from them. And I think cautious was the right way to put it. Didn't need to take any risks. Martin Lawrence is on his way, trundling down pit lane as well. Luke Southall coming along the start-finish straight. I can see just outside the commentary box window. It looks like it might be a bit close between the two of them on the exit, but I think Southall is going to get out ahead, and Joe Dauber as well, I think, has just got out ahead of Martin Lawrence. But back to the pictures on screen. The race leader, Martin Vaselli. I mean, it's been about as smooth as it could be for a race for Martin Vaselli today. Hasn't had to take any major risks, although as I say that, probably one of the most unnecessary necessary moves I've seen in the race from Vaselli.
Vaselli's going to have to come into pit lane this time, I think. I'm not an engineer today, but 2% energy, I wouldn't risk it. Come into the pit lane with an 11+ second lead to the attention of the team. Huge championship implications here at Fuji Speedway today for Martin Vaselli. If he goes on to win this race, he will assuredly take the championship lead with 2 rounds left to go. And that's a more spirited pit entry versus the LMGT3 leader. But still, I don't hate what Rune did. If you don't know where the line is, why would you risk it? Come in slow, make it smart. Also, too, maybe doing some last-second configuration was Rune, but a little bit more spirited there was Vaselli. Dino Vandrisha also joins them in the pit lane, and what that does is promote Lena Meese to the lead of the race in the wingless Peugeot. What an incredible scene here.
Well, it's not an SJ&H car, but there is a pink car leading the race, and I'll take that as a win any day of the week. And it might only be for the moment until the pit stop cycle comes around, but clearly able to go the distance in the 9X8, just able to save a bit more energy. And they might be able to get another one out of this, Jesse Lee. It might be a bit touch and go. We'll see what they do, but might be able to extend 2 laps on most of the drivers in the field. Tom Watts as well in the Genesis has been able to extend another lap out of this, and I believe Reese Wilkinson and Richard Whittle will get another lap out as well. So they've definitely been saving a bit more energy. Vaselli, by the way, is back out on track. They weren't in pit lane for very long at all, and they have a 14-second gap over the likes of Zeno van Driesche. So a gap to maintain, and a gap that they should be able to maintain. But of course, it's not that easy, is it?
It never is. Vulture Rybecki into second place and in a fight with Luke Southall for that position. And don't look in the mirror. It's the 777 of Joe Dauber. We believe that Southall may have overfilled the Ferrari just a little bit, and that's what's led to this situation. They are, yeah, you can clearly see on the fuel graph, 66%, a little bit more than the general consensus for the leading LMGT3 field, but no matter, that will be of little consequence. Southall knows that he's fighting for P2 here with Rune so far out in front. And this is the fight. Getting closer all the time is Southall. Defensive line from Rybecki, but potentially not defensive enough, as here comes Southall down the inside, all the way on the outside. Fanning out is Dauber, advantageously looking for any sort of weakness, and he's found one, but it's not going to be Rybecki. It was Southall who went deep into turn number 1, giving Joe Dauber the run. Dauber looking to the inside, sniffing into Coca-Cola. Turn not happening. Rybecki holds, but Joe Dauber is the one from the 3rd place position in line to the 3rd place position on the racetrack, still looking for it. Huge dive here into the hairpin. He's gonna get it done. Joe Dauber goes from 4th to 2nd in a couple of corners. Excellent job by the redacted painted car.
Joe Dauber doing an excellent job, and here comes Martin Vaselli to come on through as well, and they're going to get themselves in between the cars. He's almost into the side of Joe Dauber coming around, and that won't do Joe Dauber any good at all. That's checked him up. Rybecki's going to be in trouble now as Southall looks onto the inside line. Isn't going to be able to get it done, but all close between these three. And is that a Lexus of a very, very angry Checkman I see in the background, Jesse Lee? I think it is. Martin Lawrence is only 2.5 seconds behind this. He's had an incredibly difficult day, Jesse Lee, but he's only about 3 seconds off 2nd place.
Well, sometimes when you drive mad, trust me, Martin Lawrence is driving mad at other drivers, mad at himself, mad at the car, mad at the racetrack. It doesn't matter. He's mad, and he's driving that way right now. He's made up all of that gap. He has come from outside of the top 5, mind you, driven back inside the top 5, and now he can see P2. P1 might be a bridge too far, but he can see Joe Dauber for 2nd, and that's good enough for him, as we saw Southall in the background nearly break traction into or out of turn 1, I should say. But here it is, riding on board Martin Lawrence's Lexus. He's in P5, and he sees all of these tasty points in front of him.
Yeah, I can definitely see points on the board. And for Rybecki, this is a difficult situation to be in, because Southall behind him is quicker than him. Martin Lawrence behind him is quicker than him. He's going to have to try and make that BMW as wide as he can make it. Obviously, quite a wide car anyway, but, you know, he's going to have to get his elbows out if he wants to keep these positions. Maybe that's not the call from Rybecki. Maybe he just wants to make sure he can get to the end of the race without any incidents. We'll have to see. But as the hypercars make their way through this traffic, this is going to be such a big battle. But Joe Dauber kind of has to try and scamper away here, doesn't he? He might be worried about Martin Lawrence chasing up to the back of this pack. 26 minutes to go. his priority is going to be to put as much space between himself and the pink BMW behind that at the moment is a bit of a roadblock for Southall and Lawrence.
Well, while we have just a moment in the break in the action, just want to take this time to thank our partners that make this race and every race possible, starting with Green Man Gaming. A Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 is out. You can get 23% off your order by following the link in our description. I've been playing MGS4, 60 FPS in MGS4. What year is it? It's 2026. I know that doesn't sound impressive, but when the game has been locked at 30 FPS for the past, 15 years, it's pretty impressive. You can also get Red Dead Redemption 2 for 78% off right now by going to Green Man Gaming, link in the description. Also, check out Moza Racing. If racing's more your thing, direct drive platforms for your budget or your dreams, available in a wide array of Newton meters of torque. Check out their range at mozaracing.com. You're also going to need some setups. Go check out Coach Dave Delta, get you a CDA setup, maybe some driver coaching. Doesn't matter what sim you're in, iRacing, ACC, LMU, the works. Get your setups from Coach Dave. And a special shout out to Motorsports UK for recommending us as an esports community. Meanwhile, hotting up again here, Kevin Boss and Jordan Daly. Kevin Boss he is going to cross the finish line with some car right behind him. I guarantee it. Don't know which car it is, but I feel like half the field he's been battling today at one time or another.
It does feel like every time we switch back to Kevin Boss, it's a different car behind him. I'm not sure what kind of magic trick is being performed here by the 31 McLaren, but it's Jordan Daly this time who's got the turn to try and make his way past the silver wall, I guess we could call it at this point. These two will be in communication with each other in the SJ&H chat. I know that much, so there's going to be plenty of, should we say underhanded tactics here for breathing down each other's neck, and Jordan Daly right on the back of Kevin Boss. Might be a bit too far away for a move down into turn one, but you never know with the confidence of someone like Jordan Daly. Is he going to pull out? Is he going to have a look? Oh, Kevin Boss is going to defend the inside, and is Kevin Boss going to go deep in here? No. Jordan Daly forced on the outside. But now this is an advantageous position for Jordan Daly. He's got the inside line here. This is not where you want to be if you're Kevin Boss. He might have to back out of it. Is he going to hang it around the outside? He's going to try, and he's going to make it run as well. A bit of contact between the two. But Kevin Boss, you said he was driving like Lewis Hamilton today. He's defending like Lewis Hamilton for sure.
That was absolutely brilliant stuff. Around the outside again, Jordan Daly undeterred now as we come to the hairpin, continuing to try and make that move stick. He's going to try the outside at 7 again. No, inside, outside, living La Vida Loca is Jordan Daly, now up to 300R, trying to make the move again on the outside. He is going to make Kevin Boss blink. The inside afforded to Boss, and he'll be cut off with Jordan Daly as they go through the hairpin chicane. And Kevin Boss still somehow in front of Daly, and I see steam coming out of the helmet of Jordan Daly, frustrated like so many others by Kevin Boss, shoving it up the inside of nets, not quite doing it either, still not alongside. He's going to throw it up the inside of Panasonic. He is, and let go this time. Kevin Boss has had enough. The over-undercut, rope-a-dope, and they're at it again. It's a drag race down the pit straight.
I said at the beginning of this stream, this is one of the best tracks for side-by-side racing, and these two proving it here today. Really, really good racing. Love the switchback there from Kevin Boss as well. Knew that Jordan Daly was going to send it up the inside, and all this contact into the braking zone as well. Kevin Boss didn't want to give up the inside line. I think Jordan Daly was probably gambling that Kevin Boss would move over to the other side of the track. He didn't, went into the back of him. Bit of damage on the rear diffuser of that McLaren, but they have stayed where they are, line astern. And while all of that was going on, by the way, Martin Lawrence has managed to get past Luke Southall to move up into 4th place. So about 1.8 seconds back from Rybecki. And we'll actually get to see the move here, Jesse Lee, when Martin Lawrence moves himself up into 4th.
There's few cars that are faster than the Lexus in a straight line. Martin Lawrence got an excellent run out of turn 16, a drag race down the pit straight. And for my money, not a whole lot in it between the two of them, the Ferrari or the Lexus, but move telegraphed by Martin Lawrence down into 1. Easy peasy, as you pleasy, done and dusted there. Martin Lawrence getting the spot, and there's been contact, and I believe that was Ted Edwards' Ford Mustang, and it was. I didn't quite see exactly what caused the spin, but a spin from Ted Edwards as he goes around. We'll see. Was there contact with Mike Redford, I wonder?
That's a shame for Ted because he was catching. No, he's lost it on his own. That's a shame because he was catching up to that battle that Kevin Boss and Jordan Daly were having. He could have made it a three-way battle, but unfortunately for Ted Edwards has gone around, probably flat-spotted some tires as well, so lost some time for his troubles. That's a shame, but it's been a decent race for Ted today compared to how LaSalle went, where everything seemed to be going against him. Meanwhile, well, I was going to say, things have gone against Jordan Daly today, things have gone against Kevin Boss today. But one thing that we have to admire from Kevin Boss today is that he's putting on a defensive masterclass. He hasn't been able to keep everyone behind him. The likes of Hearn and Fraga have managed to get through. But more often than not, Jesse, he's been showing people how to keep it done.
You know, I think in our position up here in the commentary booth, I think we can appreciate what Kevin Boss is doing. I think it's also worth mentioning the flip side of that coin. He is no longer on several drivers' Christmas card lists because of, it's been fair driving in my opinion, but it's also been hard defending. And it is for 10th place after all, but nothing frustrates you than a good defensive driver who knows how to angle and put their car in positions where it just makes it impossible to pass. But a chink in the armor there, a little bit of a mistake from Kevin Boss. That's all Jordan Daly needed to see, and he's through and takes over the 10th place position. But Kevin Boss fought tooth and nail with another driver, another new challenger, and just it was an excellent fight. A little bit of fender rubbing, but where I come from, they have fenders for a reason. You might as well use them a little bit, and it wasn't overly aggressive in my opinion. Just a couple of hips and shoulder checks, and if it's fair in hockey, it's fair in 10 top racing in my opinion.
Yeah, Jordan Daly making his way through, but the question mark for Jordan Daly is, can he pull away from Kevin Boss? Or is Kevin Boss going to keep himself in this battle? You can actually see that amongst all the battling that they had, Ted Edwards has closed about 3 seconds on them from his prior spin, so a bit of ground gained for the Ford Mustang. Honestly, don't envy Kevin Boss if for the last 17 minutes of this race he's going to have Ted Edwards chasing him down. I know what it's like to have Ted Edwards behind me, and it's quite terrifying.
Well, we saw earlier Mike Redford rejoined the race, and we saw that Ted Edwards spun directly in front of them. I didn't think I saw contact there, but I can't really tell from some of the angles, but certainly there wasn't contact. Mike Redford in our chat while driving, we're not slandering you, Mike. We said that there wasn't contact in that particular incident. It did look very close to in one of the angles, but obviously the reverse angle shows that Ted lost it all on his own. Andre Ursu continues to lead Fabian Schmedberger. This battle was interrupted because of the pit stop sequence, but here comes Fabs again, trying to make a run for the 4th place position.
Yeah, Fab's doing a really good job. I mean, he's making this tire strategy work. If this is something he's needed to do to keep the tire temperatures under control or to keep the tire under control, then it's definitely working for him. I'll be quite interested after the race to maybe do some digging around the SJNH chat channels and maybe inquire a bit about that and see if it's something that he was having a bit of trouble with. But Ursu, I'm actually quite surprised, Jesse, that he hasn't been able to close the gap as much as I thought he would have after that incident that he had with Jordan Daly. And speaking of Jordan Daly, Jesse Lee, I think this might be a moment like LaSalle where Jordan Daly's had an incident, and it might be curtains for the 197 Lexus. He's not moving though, so I'm wondering what exactly is going on with Jordan Daly, and he is back in the garage now. So that looks like it will be the end of Jordan Daly's day.
Wow, what an up and down day it was for Jordan Daly, ultimately ending up in the garage here, 15 minutes shy of the checkered flag, though. A spin and into the pit lane. Frustrating end to the day. Just got inside the top 10, but now that space has been reafforded to Kevin Boss. We'll see what happened here to Jordan Daly. This isn't an open tape replay, but this is a replay of what happened to Daly. Yep, just lost it there. We've seen the Lexuses struggle, specifically the Lexuses struggle with that corner coming out of Coca-Cola. Before you get to 100R, Ryan, that's the third Lexus incident at that very specific part of the racetrack today.
It is a tricky part of the racetrack. If you don't get the turn in right, the car does tend to get a bit weightless, and the worst thing in the world in cars like these is when you can't feel the weight of the car, because more often than not that means the wheels aren't on the ground, and that's one of the scariest moments you can have. And we've got Mark Ham and Randy Daytona side by side here as the Porsche tries to get a move done on the McLaren, but as we know with Randy Daytona, he's not going to give any more space than he needs to, and he's going to have the inside line here. And now are we going to get this sorted out, or is this going to be the 5th or 6th time today that we see a side-by-side here? No, it's not. Mark Ham's going to back out of that one. But yeah, for the Lexus in particular, they have struggled at that corner here today. But we have seen some other difficulties from other cars. Remember the Cadillac of De Gaulle having some issues through the long right-hander immediately after that. So it's a problematic corner at any time in this race, but it definitely seems like for one GT3 in particular, it's a bit more troublesome today.
Yeah, we saw some issues from other cars. The McLaren, of course, we're riding on board with one of those now, but the McLaren a few weeks ago was the car that seemed to struggle. I think it was the Mustang last week that seemed to have the lion's share of the issues. Is it circumstantial? Who's to say? Correlation, of course, not causation, but it certainly is interesting that the Lexus has looked like the car most unsettled by that one specific turn and has caused all sorts of troubles. Just to give you a rundown, 13 minutes left to go. Pit stop sequence is complete. It's still Martin Vaselli leading Zeno Vandrisha by 14 seconds out in front, and then it's Lena Mace in third place, the wingless Peugeot, by the way. Still very impressive. Ursu Schmidberger, the top 5 in hypercar. Rune Azenpamber took the lead on the green flag and has not looked back. Joe Dauber occupying P2 in that class. Rybecki third. Martin Lawrence now up to 4th. Southall completing the top 5. Just incredible positions all over the place, almost none of them where they started out today. A lot of times it ebbs and flows and it sort of comes back together and everybody ends up round about where they started, but today a lot of mix-ups on that scoring pylon.
Another half a second on that lap for Lena Mass, and is closing down Zeno Vandrisha for that second place on the podium. So there might be a late battle between those two coming into the final 12 minutes of this race. Meanwhile, Fabian Schmidberger looking down the inside, and Ursu didn't get a good run into the braking zone. Obviously had a bit of difficulty. Now he's going to defend really, really hard. Doesn't want to find himself on the outside line here, but now he's going to have messed up the corner and he's going to be struggling to find the pace. Fabs is going to go around the outside here. There's Joe Dauber in front in the McLaren, and Fabs is backing out of it. He's thinking, I'll have another shot. I'll have another attempt. I don't want to throw it away right here, right now. But Ursu was so slow out of the first corner. I think it caught Fabs off guard when he was moving up the inside of Southall.
You know, sim racing is a lot of things. It's a sim, it's an esport, it's fun, it's recreational, it's a workout. It's also a horror game because that was a jump scare into turn one that time around. That was scary stuff. Well caught by our broadcaster Jack there. Spooky, scary stuff into turn one, but everybody makes it out and lives to race another lap. Schmedberger stalking Ursu as they continue to fight. Ooh, another wiggle there from Fabs exiting the corner, but we'll navigate some of the LMGT3 traffic. Nowhere near close enough to have a repeat of the previous lap as we go back to a little bit earlier. Running P2 was Joe Dauber. Something happened, Coca-Cola corner, but this time it's a McLaren spearing off of turn number 3. And oh dear, tire damage indeed. And was that also a loss of position, I wonder?
Yeah, was losing a couple of places to Rybecki and Lawrence. So that's put Rybecki up into second place. Martin Lawrence is on the podium after what has been a very difficult race for him. And he still has the opportunity to take second place here with just under 10 minutes to go. Fabian Schrimberger also has the opportunity to take fourth place. He's not quite done with that one yet either. So positions here before the end of the race, definitely not locked down. These final 10 minutes, they are going to be interesting. There are going to be positions that switch back and forth. Will Rybecki manage to hold this one off? So that's going to be an interesting one to observe. And I think Lena Mass has actually lost a bit of time to Zeno Van Driesche, so that might just be third place locked in for the Peugeot at this point in time. I believe Jesse Lee has departed. I believe he's gone down to find himself some ramen in the paddock for today. He's been telling me about how excited he's been for the ramen they're serving in the paddock, and he can't wait to the end of the race. He's gone already. So Jesse Lee's taken an early shower, gone to go get an early dinner, but we are still here and we're still on board with Martin Lawrence, who chasing down Wojtek Rybecki for this second place. For Rybecki, this is an incredibly impressive performance. For Rybecki. Been sitting sort of in and around second place in the championship, have been needing to stick together some good performances, and whether they finish second or third here today, this will be a good performance. And meanwhile, speaking of good performances, Fabian Schmidberger has managed to get himself up into fourth place. We're going to have a look at a little bit of a replay. So what happened to Andre Ursu? He was struggling earlier before, when we saw him getting past the GT3 Luke Southall, and this is just a move up the inside. Oh, locked up. And that sent the Porsche wide. And Ursu's done that a couple of times at that corner. So the tyre's definitely feeling it now, and I would suspect that Fab's on those hard compound tires. He's got them in a nice operating window at this point. He's probably just going to hope that if there is any traffic further up the road, which I do think there is some GT3 traffic further up the road, he's going to hope that he can use that to just give himself a bit of a gap between himself and Andre Ursu. We're going to have a replay here with Luke Southall. So this is Gibson closing in on the back of Southall. It's been a difficult race for Southall. It started oh so well, but then went from bad to worse, and now Gibson in the Ford Mustang, looking at the long way around the outside, but not quite being able to make it work on that occasion, just running a bit too deep. But then is this Luke Southall struggling a bit? No, that is the end of the replay, and we are back to Fabian Schmidberger in the final sector. Bit of traffic up ahead as well. They might catch them on the straight. Meanwhile, Martin Lawrence has got past Wojtek Rybecki. I did wonder if Rybecki wouldn't make this too difficult on his fellow countryman. a third place finish for him would be a good result. And big hats off to Martin Lawrence, by the way. He has had a really, really difficult race, has been around a couple of times, has been caught up in incidents that he's had, you know, no responsibility in creating. But he has managed to fight his way back up to second place. Obviously, 35 seconds off Azampamba is not what he would have wanted to see today. But points mean prizes, and he's got plenty of points to add to his championship tally. And this is the replay of exactly how he got the move done. So is this Rybecki going a bit deep as looking on board here with Martin Lawrence? That is Rybecki going a bit deep and struggling on the exit, gets onto the curb, and Martin Lawrence is going to squeeze through a gap that was just wide enough for a Lexus GT3. Oh, a little bit of contact there between the two of them coming into the corner, but all good for Martin Lawrence and Wojtek Rybecki. I'm sure they'll have a good laugh about that one after the race. And yeah, Martin Lawrence up into second place. Phenomenal job. And speaking of phenomenal job, the silver wall is back at it again, and this time it's Ted Edwards. It's Ted Edwards' turn to see if he can get past Kevin Boss today with the stellar defense that Kevin Boss has done. For 10th place, by the way, not the same point structure in this championship as what we would see in a Formula One championship, but, you know, Kevin Boss defending that 10th place as if it is the last point available for grabs today. And as Fabian Schmidberger and Andre Ursu go beyond them, it is now up to Ted Edwards with 4 minutes and 22 seconds to go of this race. He's not got too long to get the move done, but he has managed to close an 8-second gap up to under half a second. But we know that catching is a much, much different prospect to overtaking. And Kevin Boss has probably made himself the hardest man to overtake today. Meanwhile, this is Ham and Daytona going back at it again, and a bit of contact between the two, and Daytona is going to take that place right back and say thank you very much for going a bit deep. Switchback on there, and Randy Daytona maintains his position in front. And here we go. Now it's Ted Edwards on Kevin Boss. Is he going to get the move done here? It's going to be on the outside line. We're coming up towards the chicane. You can see Mike Redford in the background. Doesn't want to get involved in any of this. Brake disc glowing for Ted Edwards. That Ford Mustang, he's going to muscle it around the outside into the inside and get on through. Incredibly decisive move from Ted Edwards. And it's not very often that we get to say that on the broadcast, but a beautiful move from the Ford Mustang. And probably the easiest overtake that's been made on Kevin Boss in this entire race. Unbelievable scenes with 3 minutes to go. And I think Mike Redford, now that he's seen that pass happen ahead of him, he is going to have the comfort to go on and lap these two. Or actually, he's unlapping himself from these two. But full credit to Mike Redford, by the way. Had a disconnect earlier today. Rejoined the race and has kept going to see it out to the finish, get himself a nice bag of points, and love the dedication to see out the race. And the same actually goes as well for Kariagorgos in the 35 McLaren, who had a drive-through penalty. They've been towards the back of the GT3 field all day long, but they have stuck it out to make it to the end of this race, and that is incredibly appreciative from an organizer perspective to respect the time and investment and see the race out to its conclusion. On board here with Ted Edwards, by the way, just looking back at Kevin Boss, who is seeing that Mustang just disappear up the road now, and with just under 2 minutes to go. I think that's probably going to be positions decided between these two, unless we see a mistake from Ted Edwards. Looking further up the order, Vaselli still leading, about 13.5 seconds between himself and Zeno Vandrisha. Lena Mass still in third as well. Fabian Schmidberger is in fourth, but he's only got about a second between himself and Ursu. So it's definitely not all for granted here for Fabs, and you can see Mass as well on board here in the Peugeot 9X8, the old spec Peugeot 9X8. They've actually got a bit less energy than the other drivers around them. Zeno Vandrisha's got about 4-5% more energy, but Vaselli out in front. 5% energy remaining, coming in the final sector. Next lap will be the final time around, as we have under a minute to go, and Vaselli is yet to cross the line. So, coming out of the final corner now, it is going to be the final lap for Martin Vaselli with about 30 seconds of this race to go. And what can we say about Vaselli? Had a horror race at Losail. Didn't manage to finish. Got hit multiple times by cars in his own class and in the other class as well. But has been the pick of the field today in the Mobile 1 Porsche. And has decisively taken a win here in Fuji. Well, it's not done yet. There's about half a lap to go. But you would imagine that Martin Vaselli is just easing off now and making this the easiest final lap that he has had all race long. Zeno Vandrisha as well had a bit of a tricky race in Losail. A couple of mistakes that ultimately ended up costing the win for him. But he's going to come home for a second place finish as well. And of course, big props to Lena Mass for debut race here in RCI, I believe. I'm not entirely sure that we've seen Lena Mass in any other series. So debut race here in RCI for Lena Mass, and it's going to be a third place finish, it looks like. So that is an incredibly impressive effort. And Fabian Schmidberger now getting a car between himself and Andre Ursu might have just done enough. This could be a bit complicated, though. I think he's got the Ford of Mark Gibson. Is he going to get ahead of him before the chicane? He is, and I think that's going to do it for Fabian Schmidberger, but it's going to do it for Martin Vaselli. He's coming up towards the finish line. He will win round 4 of the International Sprint Series Season 1. Dominant victory for the Porsche and thoroughly deserved. Zeno Vandrisha will come across the line to take second place, and Lena Mass, who is on 0% energy, by the way, cruising to the line, will get to the end with just about enough energy. And Fabian Schmidberger will come home in 4th. Impressive result for Fabs and Andre Ursu, who had such a high expectation of the race today, unfortunately finishing in 5th place. Rune Azampamba as well, by the way, taking the win dominantly in the LMGT3 class. Martin Lawrence picking up 2nd place over Wojtek Rybecki in 3rd as well. Joe Dorber in 4th, and Mark Gibson actually in the Ford, rounding out the top 5. So 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 in the LMGT3 class, and actually 4 different manufacturers in the top 5 in the hypercar class as well. So very, very nice to see between that, the BOP working out quite nicely here at Fuji. And well, definitely one of the most exciting races that we've seen in the season. Wasn't a battle towards the end for any particular positions on track, but thoroughly enjoyable racing from start to finish between so many of the drivers involved here, and definitely going to be one to rewatch for the drivers after the race. And that is all the drivers crossing the line. Azampamba doing so in a bit of style as well, and why not when you have about 35-second lead. And I think actually they had a bit of a lap margin because Martin Lawrence actually had crossed the line after Vaselli, so lost a lap effectively in the results for the race. But a very good race out here at Fuji, one of the crown jewels of Japan's racing scenes, and it is Martin Vaselli in the 19 Porsche that comes away with the win. Zeno Vandrisha in 2nd place, a good result for him, and Lena Mass on debut in RCI on the podium in the 2023 edition of the 9X8. SJNH representative Fabian Schmidberger and championship leader takes 4th place over Andre Ursu in 5th. Tom Watts in 6th place is a good result for the Genesis. Reese Wilkinson, Yalma Mulmer, Richard Whittle, and Mike Redford round out your top 10. Redford obviously 9 laps down, but does make it to the end and get some points on the board after that very, very frustrating disconnect. De Gore didn't finish despite starting the race. And Linhout and Figueroa, I do not believe, took the start. So they will finish with no points to their name. Rune Asampamba dominated once again, but behind him, it was chaos. I think we had about 4 or 5 different people in 2nd place across the course of this race, but it is the championship leader, Martin Lawrence, that comes away with it. And Wojciech Rybecki in 3rd place to add to his podium tally for the season. Joe Dorber, in his first race in the championship, comes home in 4th place. Mark Gibson in the Ford in 5th. Then it was Luke Southall, his first race of the season, coming home in 6th place. And then it's a trio of Porsches with Daniel Hearn, Adrian Fraga, and Mike Hook going from 7th through to 9th. And Ted Edwards with a great move towards the end of the race to get past Kevin Boss to get into the top 10 in the Ford. Kevin Boss then finishing in 11th place with Randy Daytona behind him in the fellow McLaren. Mark Ham finished 2 laps down in the end in the Porsche, but did finish the race, and 4 laps down for the 35 McLaren of Karageragos, but did manage to get to the end of the race. 4 laps down, and it was Jordan Daly, Tony Yupp that did not finish the race, and I believe Yanis Van Paragis, Leno Schmidt, and Matt Malcolm did not take the start. Well, an exciting day out here at Fuji, and definitely an enjoyable race. There was some interesting moves, should we say, from plenty of the hypercars out here today, but we saw plenty of interesting moves from the GT3 field on each other throughout the course of this race. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion after the race about everything that happened here, but I do not believe we're going to have anyone in for an interview tonight. I think some of the drivers may be a bit worn out here from Fuji, quite a physical circuit, and 90 minutes around here definitely feels like a lot longer than 90 minutes. Believe me, I've done it in plenty of cars before, done a 60-minute race here in the LMP2, and I think it was a 2.4 hour here in a hypercar as well. So definitely a track that takes it out of you, and definitely one that the drivers will be getting plenty of rest and recuperation over. I mean, you can see how much it takes it out of you, even covering this race. Jesse Lee went for an early shower and a ramen before the end of the race. So, yeah, that just goes to show how difficult it was out there today. But, of course, big thank you to everyone that has come along to watch the race at home. And, of course, big thank you to any of the drivers that will be watching the stream back afterwards as well. Big thank you to our partners that, of course, make every race here at RCI possible. And actually, I do believe we might be able to sneak someone in for an interview before we sign off for the end of today. We have Zeno van Driesche, who had a much better race today than I think what probably went out at the sale, where led for most of the race and then of course got past, and Kalberg was up into the distance. Zeno, 2nd place today. It's a good finish. It's good points on the board. What are your thoughts?
Good finish on one of my best tracks in the game. I had hoped to be fighting for the win, but sadly, Vesely was a bit too quick for me. I tried my best, but the starts didn't help, of course. With the little tap I got from the rear, which cost me 4 places. So it was just getting back up to P2 and then staying there for the rest of the race.
Yeah, you had what was a great battle with Andre Ursu earlier on in the race. I mean, walk us through that. I mean, I know this is a circuit that kind of opens itself up to a lot of racing. You can have a lot of side-by-side action through here, but you have to look after the tires as well. I mean, was that something of a consideration in your mind that early on in the race? Were you thinking, of maybe not pushing a bit too hard to save something for the end?
To be honest, I I went flat out with the battle with Ursu, so I didn't take care of my tires. So they were dead at the end of the race, but I survived. But yeah, like I said, with the battle with Ursu, it was a lot of fun. It was close, but yeah, just destroyed my tires during the battle. But I mean, I managed to bring them home, so I'm happy.
Yeah, another good result for you in the championship. I mean, 2 rounds to go. I mean, maybe a fight for the championship title might be a bit far away, but surely you're not going to give up on pursuing a race win in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not giving up on pursuing a race win. I mean, back-to-back P2 is a bit harsh for me, but I mean, I'm getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, excellent race today. Anyone you would like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, well, as always, of everyone from you guys for keeping this organized, and then of course my friends who were not in the race today, except for Rune. But yeah, I still want to give them a shout out because they're my friends.
Awesome stuff. So Zenev Andrisha then, second place in the hypercar category. Another good result for him, and we'll be seeing a lot more of Zenev Andrisha challenging for a race win later this season. Meanwhile, I do have Ted Edwards, I believe, down here in the pit lane. And Ted, it was an eventful race, although probably, if you don't mind me saying, most of your races seem to be quite eventful. But towards the end of the race, you did a great move on Kevin Boss, who we sort of nicknamed the Silver Wall today, with how difficult he was making it to get past. For a lot of drivers of this race. Give us your thoughts on how all that unfolded towards the end.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a bad race. It could have been worse. But no, I mean, I was listening to Daly and Kevin fight. I had muted myself at that point because I was focusing. And yeah, like Daly was struggling to get past Kevin. So I was like, right, how do I get past Kevin? I have a better tyre because I took one tyre in the pit stop. I took a front left to help with the right-handers. And I was like, all right, I'll try and use it to my ability then. And yeah, it was difficult, but I was adamant I was going to stay on the outside of the chicane, and I did. And he bumped me while I'm basically almost on the grass, and then just got past him. But as soon as I got past him, I was almost back on into the 41s, which was my race pace at the time. But no, it could have been a P5, I think, what I've worked it out as.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely seem to have some good pace in the early phases of the race. Was the strategy today always to take a tire? Were you always going to take that left tire when you came in, or was that something that you decided in the moment when you came in pit lane?
I decided in the moment. So I saw Hoke, I think that's how you say his last name, in the Porsche. He pitted, and I was like, okay, right, I might need to cover him off. I don't know what he's doing. Turns out he took all four, so I didn't have to worry. But I was like, right, I'll have a look at my tires, see what's worse. So like, front left is the worst. It's not bad. It's only like 5% different from all the others. But I'll just take my quali one, which was 92%, and it should help me through the corners. And it's lucky I did because I underfueled by 11% VE, so I had to come back in, and I lost all my position, so I had to fight my way back up. And yeah, it was. I'm very sweaty, basically.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a physical circuit out there, especially for 90 minutes. I mean, Ted, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to today?
I want to give a shout out to Kevin for just having a good fight. The hypercars, they weren't too bad today. There was some that were questionable, so give a shout out to them because it's not an easy track. But I put my car where I needed to, and they saw and they picked their line, so it was all right. And Thank you to all the viewers, all the drivers, and obviously you guys in the booth tonight.
Yeah, much appreciated, Ted, and well, congratulations on 10th place. Jesse Lee, I believe you have returned from your ramen trip down in the paddock, and well, I believe you've also found Mike Redford down there as well, have you not?
Yeah, no ramen for Mike Redford, but maybe the Spirit of the Race Award got disconnected, came back in, got gifted a membership to RCI TV by Ash Bibby. Mike, you had a heck of a day.
Oh, you forgot the drive-through at the start as well.
Well,
Add that
I
to
was
the
trying to be
list.
nice.
Oh god, I think everything that could have went wrong that race went wrong. I must be cursed or something. I'm on 5 drive-throughs in 5 RCI races, all for different reasons, and I do not know what I'm doing wrong. Just so unlucky. But yeah, I was glad to get to the end at least. I beat one person, I guess, from the start. 10th out of 11, so I'll take that.
Well, sometimes it is just about seeing the checkered flag, and it is nice to see drivers that come back and finish up the races. You talk about getting 5 different penalties in a row. Mike, eventually you're going to run out of penalties. You're going to collect them all, and then you're going
I
to be.
want to
I don't
point
know.
out none of them are related to stewarding. Okay, it's all in games
Yes.
shenanigans. Right, I'm not doing anything wrong on that end. I want to point that out. But yeah, it's gotta fix it eventually. Please.
Well,
It's not crossing
eventually,
my toes while I'm driving.
you'll catch them all, and then you'll go to the Pokemon League, and then or something. I don't know. It's been a long time, but I thought it was gutsy to come back into the race and to finish up, and I think it sets a good example. Mike, anybody you would like to shout out or thank?
Thanks to you guys for the commentary today and the broadcast, and yeah, thanks for the usual putting on all the races. Thank you to
Absolutely.
Ted for spinning in front of me, just like I did the same to him in the last race. I guess it's my turn in the next race to spin in front of him again.
We love to hear it. Mike, thanks for coming and talking to us, and thanks for racing. And here's the turning it around. Next week, new week. It's gonna be Mike Redford. We're gonna get podiums. We're gonna be in contention
No,
for
we're not doing
wins.
that. If
Listen.
I end up with the podium, then you need to do an investigation, okay? Because I'll have done something nefarious. Okay. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Mike Redford, Spirit of the Race for today, and the lucky recipient of an RCI gifted membership, courtesy of RCI's on Ash Bibby. Ryan Gill, do you have anybody else left to interview? Kevin Boss, perhaps?
I do have Kevin Boss, the man we nicknamed in this race the Silver Wall, with how difficult you were making it for people to get by you, Kevin. I mean, it must have been a bit frustrating, obviously, seeing a new car at almost every lap come up behind you, but you made it difficult for them out today. You put on a great show, battling plenty of different people. Obviously, just struggled towards the end to keep Ted Edwards behind the fresh tires for the Mustang working a bit better. But walk us through the race. I mean, how was it from your perspective?
A struggle, because I actually had a good feeling after practice, and then of course lap 1 or 2 I already get damage, get spun around, and then yeah, it was just a struggle from then. I was lacking turning that I had in practice, so I basically had to learn a new car mid-race, and yeah, that just hemorrhaged my ability to drive that car around this track a bit. Luckily, initially against the 2 Porsches, I was able to use the straight line speed that the Macca still has to stay ahead, even if they went for the send on the inside in the final corner. But yeah, that was a struggle.
Well, you definitely put on a show with the defending, though, even though you were struggling out there. I mean, sometimes you were leaving just enough of a car's width on the outside or on the inside. recall a particular battle with Jordan Daly where he ran into the back of you a bit into turn one. I mean, in the voice chat, was there any underhanded tactics going on between the two of you? Because I could see in the SJNH chat that you were sharing a voice channel throughout the race.
Yeah, well, I was still doing Lyco at that point. That was before I noticed that I had enough fuel to just go ham for the rest of the race. But yeah, I think Daly just tried to get away from me at the last possible moment, and he was just a little bit too late, and then he hit me. But yeah, it was sadly decided by a hypercar going into messing with us in the twisty section that finally decided that battle, because once he got through, the same as with Ted, like he just had the speed, and yeah, I could not keep up on those old tires.
And I suppose one final point, you brought up the hypercars today. I mean, Ted did mention that this track is particularly difficult for lapping because there are so many pinch points. We saw your car getting in a bit of physicality with some hypercars out there today. I mean, you had quite a bit of criticism for some of them after Losail. What was your thoughts tonight? I mean, do you think that it was just made worse by the nature of the track, or do you think some people were just taking risks when they didn't need to?
I think what some hypercar drivers need to learn is that sometimes it is just faster to hold behind the GT3 for like 0.23 seconds, because in the end you lose less time. And I guess what they just see is that instead of waiting for me to take the outside line or go towards the normal line, they decide to go the outside, and then it gets all difficult, especially in that final sector where it is difficult for the hypercars. I know I've done a couple races here in hypercar and multi-class, so I know sometimes it's a bit difficult to spot. But yeah, I think some of them could learn. It's faster actually if you wait for a little bit.
Absolutely. And well, Kevin, anyone you'd like to give a shout out here today before we call it a day?
Shout out to the SJNH guys for keeping me sane, especially at the start, because I was not a happy guy after some of the hits that I got early doors. So big shout out to them.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. And Jesse Lee, I think that wraps things up rather nicely. And what was, didn't have any exciting battles towards the end of the race for the lead, but we had so many different people fighting for second place throughout the entire race in the LMGT3 category. We had some good battles in hypercar as well. And whilst it isn't going to be a race remembered too much for, battles for the lead and that, it's definitely going to be a race worth rewatching in the future.
Yeah, nothing settled in the championship race in either category, really. Martin Lawrence has a brilliant recovery drive to limit the damage done, and well done to him, of course. And the Hypercar Championship, once again, has a new championship leader with 2 rounds left to go. Nothing decided, everything to play for with 2 rounds still to come on RCI Friday's International Sprint Series. A couple of other things going on in the RCI universe. GTE Masters continues this Monday. You'll never guess where they're racing, Ryan. Go ahead. I'll give you one guess.
I have one guess, do I? Is it Fuji by chance?
Do you know it is? We're going to stay here in Fuji and bring you GTE Masters on Monday. And then we'll go all the way to Italy for Monza for us on International Sprint Fridays with 2 rounds left to go. Why not throw Monza in the mix, round number 5? And of course, don't forget about the 300 miles of Daytona coming up Saturday, September 5th. Your choice of hypercar, LMP2, or LMGT3 space in all 3 categories still available, but all categories are just about halfway full. So don't dilly-dally. Get signed up for that in your favorite class. 300 miles of Daytona in LMU. We'd love to have you in 1 week's time on Saturday, September the 5th. And you can sign up, of course, for GTE Masters or the International Sprint Series right now. and get involved in the mid to late part of the season. As for us here, that's going to just about do it. On behalf of everyone here at RCI, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for chatting, liking, following, doing all the things. It has been a crazy race here at Fuji. I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Ryan Gill with Jack Mays, bringing you the cameras. We'll see you on Monday and then again back on Friday. And until next time, have a good night.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss us goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Feel the rush. See the goal. Every second, take control.